You're thinking about buying a property in Dubai, an amazing choice. However, there's a few things that people overlook. For example, what sort of area they are buying into. Because here's the truth, not all areas are created the same. Some areas are developed with a master plan in mind, and some other areas are developed a little bit more freeform and a little bit more fragmented. If you're buying and investing off plan, you're buying not for today's value, but for the future value. And this is where understanding what area you want to buy in is extremely important. Today, I'm going to go through both of those investments that you're going to come across in the Dubai off-plan market, and how the decision between the two of them can either be critical to that investment working for you and not against you. For the two types of development areas that we're going to be talking about today, I'll refer to one of them as multi-developer communities and the other one as master developer communities. Let's start with what defines these two types of areas and what makes them behave differently in terms of price growth, rental demand, and general overall livability. In these areas, one major developer handles everything, from the roads, the landscaping, the street lighting, to the parks and the recreation, schools and retail, and perhaps most importantly, the timing and volume of when properties launch and hand over into that community. Examples include Arabian Ranches, Dubai Hills Estate, Tilal Al Ghaf, Emaar Beachfront, Expo City. What you get is predictability. The area grows with structure. The developer doesn't flood the market with new buildings. Instead, they release phases when the demand is proven. Some of my clients have bought early into these communities before the schools, the shops, the retail have all been put in place, which has then eventually raised the appeal of their properties and therefore the prices of their properties. It's really important to understand that when investing in property, you're not just buying the property itself, but the neighborhood and the environment that that property sits in. It's not just the streets and the parks, it's also the fact that the developer of this community has built most of them, if not all of the buildings that reside in that community. This means certain standards are kept, such as quality, consistency, maintenance, which all increase the value of the property. The developer is invested in making sure this community is a success, as it's their brand, which is on reputation. It gives the developer strong motivation to protect the whole community, as they're invested in the whole area and not just one individual plot. Here's something really important that I feel a lot of people overlook and miss out when buying and investing in property. The property itself goes up in value because the land itself is going up in value. And when you're investing in a master community where there is a cohesive plan to make that land more valuable, it protects your asset for the long term. When the area around your property gets better, greener, more accessible, it makes the property itself even more valuable. Now let's look at the other side of the coin. In these areas, land is sold to multiple developers. Each one builds their own project with their own timeline, design, and target audience. You'll see a branded luxury residence next door to a budget studio apartment building. You'll see different facade styles within the same street. You'll see projects finishing at different times with varying service levels. That diversity brings choice. It can offer affordability, and for yield-focused investors, it can mean better price per square foot entry and therefore a higher ROI. But that comes with its own challenges. Inconsistency with infrastructure delivery, aesthetic clashes, and a disconnect between what the expectations of a community are going to look like and then the actual reality. And while you might see more buildings being developed, this doesn't necessarily mean this development is increasing the land value of this community. Because without cohesive planning, more construction of residential buildings can lead to saturation and not scarcity, which is a driver of property values. There's no real reason for this land to go up in value unless the overall community experience and lifestyle is improving, which isn't always the case with these types of communities. That said, not every multi-developer community is the same. For example, take Dubai Marina. This is technically a multi-developer community. The towers there are built by different developers from different backgrounds. However, this area is extremely central, built up, and iconic in the Dubai market. Another area that we can talk about is Al Arjan. Again, it's a multi-developer community. But the reason why this is unique is because it has an operational metro station, and there are very, very few plots available walking distance to a metro station in Dubai, which drives up the scarcity of that investment. So always look at the fundamentals as to why land will go up in value, not just what's being built on the plot. Now let's just compare the differences between buying a master developed community and a multi-developer community on a table. Now the choice isn't about which is better, but which is better for you and your investment strategy. Let's talk about goals on a surface level, because your investment area is going to really reflect that. If you're someone focused on selling for capital appreciation or renting out to family or tenants, really the best community for you is going to be a master developed community. You get stability, you get a community, you get cohesiveness, which is all going to appeal to that market when it hands over. If you're focused on rental yields or value buys at the early stages, then maybe a multi-developer community is for you, but you have to be selective. And sometimes the best strategy is a blend, owning both types, but with different timelines and expectations. I've also spoken to investors who have bought pretty ordinary apartments, but have made fantastic gains, simply because they understood the dynamics of the area. So don't just look at the floor plans and the brochures. Understand who the developer is, understand the infrastructure that is going into that area, and look at if there is a real reason for the land to go up in value. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking or subscribing, as I regularly make these videos on the Dubai property market with clarity, numbers, and a long-term perspective to ultimately help you guys make better investments over here.